All right, so you should be at the end of the single crochets that we stitched on the back side where we left off in the first video. You're going to continue to the very end, and you can see where it's starting to kind of form the bottom of the bag. So we are going to continue on. So we worked it this way from right to left. Now we're going back this way. We're going to be going left to right, okay? So we are going to insert it into the next available stitch. So this is an active stitch being used already. We're in it. So we are going to come into this one right here, okay? And remember, on this one, we don't have to chain any extras to make our turn. We're just gonna do it. We're gonna keep an eye on our tension and make sure we are remaining consistent, because we don't want any loosey-goosey or tidy knots in here where it's hard to get the hook into. Just gonna keep going. And we're gonna go all the way to the end. And then we are just going to keep repeating. All right, so we finished the other row over here, working from the last turn that we did. We are at the end. You can see we kind of have a little pocket started right here, which is going to be the corner of the potholder. So it should start already taking shape like that. Like I said, it's going to look like a little tote bag. Okay. So we're going to go around. We're just going to continue working around. So we're going to single chain into this one. Single crochet, I mean. Then when we get right here, you see how there are 1, 2, 1, 2. It looks like a little butt. We need to make sure we're pulling from the actual chain itself, just one of them. We don't need this one. We're going to go into this one, okay? When we get to this one, we don't need that one. We're just going into this one. Oh man, you can't even see it. Okay, so when we get to right here, you can see that this chain is kind of smushed together, and so is this. It's like a little butt. So when we go to stitch, we don't need this one, okay? We're just going to go into this one that you can see from the top of the little pocket. So it'll be right here, okay? Then when we get to the next one in the curve, it's gonna be this top one too. So we're just gonna continue working on the top ones all the way around. So we're gonna go right here, pull that top one, single crochet, we're coming into this one, okay, oops, getting twisted. Now when we turn, it looks like, oops, see how this one right here looks like we should go into it? That's an active chain. We're currently in it. See? So we're not going into that one. We're going into this one. See that? So we didn't skip it. We just went to the next one because that one was already being pulled by the one we were in. So we're just going to continue going around all the way until we're done. We're going to just do this forever till the end of time. No, once you get going, you'll actually get to be pretty quick at it. If your hands are sticky, it kind of makes the yarn feel annoying though. Not sticky, just my hands feel clammy today. All right, so we're gonna keep going. But you see how this is creating that little pocket? It's looking good, isn't it? Okay, so once you've gone all the way around, you're gonna wanna keep an eye on it and see how long you have until you get to where you can fold it shut like this, okay? So you'll have it in the tote bag position, and you'll just want to lay it flat. And when it can lay flat and the sides meet like this, you're ready to sew it shut, okay? So what we're going to do is get an embroidery yarn needle. I don't know why I'm calling it an embroidery needle. It's just a yarn needle. They're really big, see? And you are going to get some scissors. I always like to take a good bit just so I can make sure I have extra for my stitches for shutting it. So I just got a good bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and just thread my needle. All right, so I accidentally unraveled a little bit right here. So I'm just going to do a couple crochets so that it's back to my corner because I accidentally pulled those out. I think I need to do that one. Nope, we're good to go. All right. So I always just take my needle and I leave this last one up like this. You could do a slip stitch into it. We could do a slip stitch to knot it, right? Sometimes I just do it with the needle, but to do a slip stitch into it, we are just going to go into the next one, get the working strand, pull it through, and pull it through. So that's a slip stitch. You'll want to do that before you finish with the needle. I'm just not doing that approach because I failed and I already cut my needle and yarned it, just because I find it to be easier sometimes. I never think about the next step sometimes. So I'm just going to take my needle and go through that hook from that last chain I did and just kind of put a little knot there. See? So we have a little slip knot in there that we just did with a doohickey. So we're just going to start sewing this shut. You just go through and we're going to go through this stitch and then through this stitch. See, I'm not going through 2 stitches. Just go into those top ones. When you're doing it, you'll see. It'll just make sense. And there's no right or wrong way. And just continue on. And you can keep your stitches pulled tight, but not too tight because you don't want it to start ruffling the edge. But I like to see where we started and where we're going. So I kind of pull mine a little tight, but not too tight. Just enough to keep it flat. If it's all loosey-goosey, I find it to be a little annoying. I pulled too much string on this, so it's kind of annoying to thread it through. I'm just gonna keep doing this until the cows come home. It doesn't take too long. It's just one of those things that's not fun. In this pot holder, I did a starting chain of 25. So like I said before, 25 is just too small for a pot holder to be worth a crap. Like, what am I going to lift with this? It might be good for my cast iron skillet things, handles, but other than that, like, what is this? I was just entertaining myself one night. We're just gonna keep going. And you can add a handle, not a handle, but like a hoop to it, a hook, so that you can hang it. And you can do that with more crochet stitches at the end. I never add those. I don't really know how because I've never done it. So I've never actually done that process. I don't intend to hang my pot holders. But you could probably just chain some extra at the end and then slip knot it over here and then sew them shut. But you could probably watch a TikTok video on how to do it. There's actually a lot of great resources on TikTok on how to do some crochet stitches. I think the next one I learn is going to be the popcorn stitch. There's a lady on there called Betty McKnit. I like her videos. She does this 6-day star blanket, but that one was humbling. There was a lot of counting and I kept coming up some stitches short by the time I got to each round and couldn't figure out why. So you can sew your pot holder shut with the back side of the stitches showing, or you can do it inside out, or the correct way out. I started sewing it inside out for some reason. I sometimes like to do it that way because I think it looks pretty on that side. But some yarns make a really nice texture with the actual stitch. So sometimes it is nice to do it the right side out. See, that's a nice texture. So we can just sew it shut this way. And I just flipped it from where it was. So the piece I had hanging out at the end is now inside. And I can just finish sewing it up. That was the tail from my starting chain that was on the end that's now inside. And you can just finish sewing it. Like the one I made for Debbie, I sewed inside out, I think. And then my mom's, I sewed the right way with the ribs showing. I just look and see how I like it based off of the texture. I'm not picky. I think when it's inside out, it kind of looks like knitting. I kind of just like it. So sometimes I just do what I want. It's our projects. We can just do what we want as long as we finish doing what we want. Because this is the year of finishing projects. So we're just taking it to the end right here. And you can go all the way back down and double it up if you want to. I did it down every stitch on the other side. I don't think there's any concerns about this knot or this stitching coming out. This will probably outlive the roaches. So I'm just going to secure it up at the end a little bit, just so it's nice and secure, and get it so I can tie a knot. And then I'm just going to do a second knot right here, just for good measure. You don't have to if you feel confident in what you just did. I was just doing it all willy-nilly and not paying attention. So I'm just going to do it again. So that is totally secure. So now what you can do is weave your end a little bit in so that it doesn't show when you just cut it, right? That's not going to be very pretty. So we can just weave it in. See, I just kind of like put it in and alternated. There's really no right or wrong way. I just kind of make it up as I go along. But we can go all the way back down. And sometimes you do this at the end of like granny squares when you're doing blankets. And this is just so your tail's not hanging out, and it makes it harder for it to slide out, right? Because eventually this could start coming out a little bit. But we're gonna put this in here nice and secure. So I just went through the top ones right here. Just, you know, willy-nilly, nothing fancy. Now I'm gonna go back and just try to willy-nilly go under the ones that I didn't do before. If I don't do it perfect, no big deal. It just makes it harder for it to slide out down the road. And you can just cut it.